afternoon. I want to thank all of you for coming out. My name is Sala Udin, and we're gathered here today from across the city as the Pittsburgh Black Political Convention. Our purpose here is to provide a unified voice of African Americans in Pittsburgh concerning the mayoral primary election scheduled for May 21st, 2013. Before I begin, I want to again thank the leaders of the black communities across Pittsburgh that are gathered with me here today, and to stress that they are gathered here as individual citizens and not representing the organizations that they may be affiliated with. They're here only as individuals. Although African Americans in Pittsburgh make up over a quarter of the population, too many black Pittsburghers live in conditions that are unacceptable to us, and they should be unacceptable to the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. Have an amen going? We've joined together to demand that black people in Pittsburgh become visible to the political leadership of our city. Many black people in Pittsburgh exist on islands of concentrated poverty, with unemployment at Great Depression levels. Narcotics and gun trafficking keep many people terrorized in their own homes and on their own streets, resulting in too many funerals that bury hundreds of young black men in the prime of their lives, leaving behind grieving families and loved ones and fatherless children. The schools in our neighborhoods fail to educate our students such that half of black public school students don't even qualify for the generous opportunities of the Pittsburgh Promise. Our neighborhoods are underdeveloped in the shadows of rising skyscrapers, providing offices and living quarters for the well-to-do. But we are not so deprived of spirit that we are not able to stand up and say to the mayor and political leaders of our city, you will respond to our needs and to our demands for equality of life in Pittsburgh, or you will not be elected to high political office. A unified black voice may well determine the next mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. Therefore, we have invited all the candidates for mayor to join us on Friday evening at 6 p.m., April 19th, at Mount Eric Baptist Church, located at 271 Paulson Avenue in the Lincoln-Larimer section of the city, to respond to the Black Agenda, which will be delivered to them tomorrow, Friday, April 5th. The following day, on Saturday, April 20th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., black Pittsburgh voters will return to Mount Airy to cast their votes for the candidates who best respond to the Black Agenda. And the candidates who most clearly articulate plans and intentions to include the Black community as a high priority in their mayoral administration. The mayoral candidate that receives the highest number of votes will become the endorsed candidate of the Pittsburgh Black Political Convention. And we will work with all our might and resources to assure that that endorsed candidate becomes the next mayor of our city. We encourage all Black voters registered in the city of Pittsburgh to join us at Mount Airy Friday and Saturday, April 19th and 20th, when the Black community of Pittsburgh speaks with a single, unified voice to elect the next mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I want to take a moment to thank Councilman Daniel Lavelle for welcoming us to his workplace and affording us the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. And I want to invite everyone to check out our website at www.blackconvention.com or to check out our Facebook page, Black Convention, Pittsburgh Black Political Convention on Facebook, and to follow us on Twitter at Black Convention. Did I leave anything out? Questions?
Sala, you mentioned that there's a higher increase or a high rate of unemployment in the pockets of poverty in the Black community. What's the agenda that the Black Political Convention wants to present to those mayoral candidates so that they know ahead of time what it is you're looking for? What's going to make the difference for the Black Convention?
The section of the Black agenda on employment is very important. The Black unemployment rate in Pittsburgh is almost double the unemployment rate of the rest of Pittsburghers, and among young Black males, unemployment can be as high as 50% or more. There's a great deal that the mayor of the city can do to encourage the business community to give our people a chance to work, to provide them with the training that they need to qualify for the skills and the jobs of tomorrow. There's a great deal that the mayor can do right within the workforce of the city of Pittsburgh. So the greatest employers are not necessarily government, but is the private sector. The mayor has a lot of influence in encouraging the private sector to provide that training and that employment. And we want to see what kind of specific plans these mayoral candidates have for encouraging employment among African Americans in Pittsburgh.
So why does the mayor's race, the school board, and the town education,
The mayor's race was highlighted because there's a unique opportunity created by the fact that the incumbent mayor dropped out of the race and a lot of candidates stepped forward to run, and none of them seem to be, with few exceptions, articulating the kind of interests and needs of the community. So we are a recently formed coalition, and therefore, since we're just getting started, we are not wanting to bite off more than we can chew. So the mayor's race was isolated, but other elected officials should be put on notice that we will probably come visiting their elective offices as well in the future. Yes. The question is, will only registered voters be able to vote at the convention on April the 20th? That is true. Only registered voters will be able to vote, and we will be registering people to vote up until that point, and even people who come and register that day will be qualified to vote in our convention election. So all people have to do is to come up and identify themselves as a resident of the city. We have the list of the registered voters. We will look up their names on the computer. As soon as their names are verified, they'll be given a ballot and allowed to vote.
How do you ensure that like with cross-section of black communities across Pittsburgh are represented in this convention? How do you get the vote out?
We have a good cross-section of the leadership of the black community standing behind me. And that's the primary way. The other way is that we will be publicizing the convention throughout our website and social networking and at all of the other activities. I'm sure you've seen all of the candidate forums that are being held. We'll be attending those meetings and distributing literature. We have the involvement of the churches. The Reverend Jonathan Wilson is with us. He represents the Allegheny Baptist Conference. We have other ministers from other denominations, the Hill District Pastors Association. So we are contacting all of the institutions throughout the city and asking them to get their constituents, to get the word out so that all people know about it and hear about it. And hopefully through you find people represented here today, you'll put it on prime time and people will see it through the media.
Is there any way that a white candidate can win the trust?
Is there any way a white candidate? Absolutely. A white candidate with a solid endorsement of the black agenda can very easily win the endorsement of the Black Convention. We've been waiting for white candidates to speak up for black people for a long time.
How do you know you can trust any of the candidates? It's not just lip service, it's telling you what to do.
We trust ourselves, and we trust that we will hold any candidates accountable for the commitments that they make to this convention. First of all of the candidates are being asked to submit a written response to the black agenda 2 days before the real agenda, the convention takes off. So by April 17th, we're asking all of the candidates to submit a written response outlining what their commitments and their intentions will be. So we'll have it in writing, and we'll be there to hold them accountable on election night.
You actually wrote the
We all did. The whole group.
Bill Robinson offered $5,000 to a candidate who has a black agenda. Will you back that same candidate that gets the $5,000 from county councilman?
We will back the candidate that gets the largest number of votes. Now, I intend to apply to Councilman Robinson to see if we can't get that $5,000 since we already wrote the black agenda, and the candidate who we endorse will be the candidate who best articulates the black agenda. So I would think that our candidate should qualify for that $5,000. Don't y'all agree? Other questions? Thank you all very much for coming out, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon.